Hey there everyone, and welcome to the final dragon review video looking at the last support dragons. And this is a really nice, interesting one to close it out because we have Malachite, Celestial and Firescale. These are dragons which are incredibly interesting. Malachite is just really unique and fun to play with. Celestial is a dragon you probably don't know, you've probably never seen it properly because it's incredibly rare. And then Firescale is also pretty rare too. You don't really see it much anywhere. And well, anyway, we'll have a look at it in a second. So, pretty interesting dragons to finish this off. I hope you enjoyed the series in general. We're going to look first of all at the claw requirements, the silver and the experience for these dragons. So first up we have Malachite, which is here. So Malachite, a little bit more dragon claws than usual. Well, quite a lot more, 2,000. It's quite a lot of dragon claws. Then the silver is 35 million. Again, very expensive. This is one of the later ones, but very unusually, this only takes the normal amount of fish to level up. It's not a very hungry dragon, I guess. So it's actually not too bad if you have a surplus of silver, which is my case. But most people, they have a surplus of fish. So this is kind of one to not go for. Anyway, doesn't matter. So Malachite, that's that one. Then next we have Celestial. So Celestial is very unique in that it only takes 100 claws per quality. This was a kind of test that they did to see if it worked well for people or something. I can't remember exactly. It was tied to some particular festival, which was actually one which I did up until Artifact, and then Celestial didn't come back again for ages, and then it came back once in one festival really awkwardly or something, or maybe it did come back not too long after, but it was like only for spending money and something. Anyway, Celestial is incredibly rare for that reason. I hope it gets repeated properly. One of the reasons why they're struggling, why they were struggling to repeat it a bit, is because of this claw requirements. Because they're like, we want to be able to let people get it to like the lower qualities, but then it's not like people who have it just suddenly get to mythic. They didn't want that. And where other dragons take an exponential amount, especially like something like Glacius, it's very easy for them to release Glacius claws, but Celestial, it's very hard for them to release claws. So that's why they were kind of abstaining from it for a while, and then we reached the time where they just weren't changing anything. So Celestial got put by the wayside. Anyway, other than that, it takes a bit more silver, and it takes the standard amount of fish to get up. So very unique in those requirements. If you can see any Celestial claws, go for them. Absolutely go for them. It's a brilliant dragon, as we'll look at, and you don't need that many claws, so any amount of claws for it are useful. And then lastly we have Firescale. Firescale here, this is more like the later ones. Oh, actually no, it isn't. It's again cheap to level up. Been so used to like the end of the attacker dragons, the end of the tank dragons, they took loads of experience. These ones, all the standard amount of experience, not much to level up. However, a lot of silver on this one. Firescale 36 million, and the claws are more similar to many other dragons. So that's how they look in terms of these resources that you need. Let's have a look at the dragons in game. First, we're going to look at Malachite. This is the most interesting and unique one of the dragons, which we've looked at for a while. Actually, saying that we had Harlequin, but anyway, Malachite. This creates little green things on the ground. Now, these are very interesting. You see here, this one on the right is like fire. This one on the left has kind of like light coming up off it. It looks more like a sort of little ball thing. Now, those are the shields. The other ones are the damage. So anytime you run over these ones, then it gives you a shield and a heal. Let's talk about the skills. So the first skill, 5-second cooldown, places a trap near the dragon that lasts there for 12 seconds. And any enemy that goes near it will cause it to explode, and then it will deal 4 hits of 2 times basic damage. Now, sometimes this deals twice that many hits. I don't know why, but sometimes that seems to be the case. That's just from my testing. So that's the damage skill. It's very unique. It means that enemies have to go close to it. Malachite wants to be fighting in close range, and in general you'll see this dragon is amazing for knights. It's not so good for the other ones. Well, it's kind of good for wizards, I guess, because you can still get the heal ones. Anyway, the second skill. 10-second cooldown, so this one's the slower skill, and it places a pod near the dragon for 20 seconds that can be stood on by a player to get 30% health, and so that heals you by 30%, and then puts you a health shield on you worth 15% of your total health that lasts 5 seconds. So I've talked about health shields before in the set effects and that kind of stuff. This dragon is very, very unique because basically you have to kind of actively walk over those things to get the benefits. But as a party support dragon, I love the design of this. I think this is amazing because basically it's like people can go and grab heals, and Malachite just kind of leaves these heals on the ground for people to go and pick up. So it's like, oh, I need to heal up or get a shield. Yeah, I can grab one. Now, the reason why I say this is great for knights is because you can, when you're fighting as a knight, you're more likely to bring Malachite in close range next to you, next to the enemies, and so these damage ones, they will go off and they will damage the enemies. Now these, unfortunately, they have appeared away from these enemies. There's another one here on the right now, it's appeared away from the enemies. If there's just stationary enemies next to Malachite, then they won't necessarily hit them. It's unfortunate, but in battles where there's lots of enemies around or whatever, they will reliably walk into these things. It's also, if Malachite's fighting from range, it gives Malachite some kind of defense. If enemies come in from one of the sides, then they can walk into those and take some damage. Malachite generally, it doesn't do much in the way of damage. Like, the damage from those things is quite good. The cooldown's pretty low, but generally it's just going to be attacking with basic attacks. And the main thing about it is those healing pods. And I think those healing pods are amazing, even if they're not the most spectacular in terms of stats. I think Malachite is an amazing design, and I absolutely love it. It's just not actually that strong, really. I have to admit it. It's a lot of fun to play around with. I think if like 3 people were all using Malachite, it would be a lot of fun. Just having all these little traps and pods around on the ground that you can go and heal up from. So yeah, it's one that you have to actively get benefit from, and you have to think about where Malachite is in terms of if it's going to be damaging the enemies and stuff. I'm not sure if we've seen enemies actually get hurt by those pods, so I'm just going to try and make that happen now so you can see it. Yeah, there we go. That explosion. Did you see? That was just one of them walking near a pod, and it exploded and damaged both of them. So it does area of effect damage. It's quite nice in that regard, but the damage is not going to be that impressive. Yeah, so what happened there was Malachite literally made a pod on top of the enemies, so you never saw the pod. It just suddenly blasted out and dealt damage to both of them. That's typically what happens if the enemies are stood next to Malachite. Is they're either going to appear off to the side, the traps, or they're going to appear on top of it and immediately explode and do that damage. Anyway, that's how Malachite works. I hope you like the dragon just as much as me. It's just a shame it's not the most impressive in terms of numbers. But yeah, anyway, let's move on to the next one. Next we have Celestial. Now this is a dragon which is actually really, really good. So earlier on in one of the other videos where I talked about Aurelian, I said if you asked anyone what their favourite support dragon is, they would almost certainly say Aurelian. However, I would say Celestial. Celestial is, in my mind, kind of a better Aurelian. Now, saying that, there are definitely some downsides, and overall probably is worse, but I think in terms of what you want to achieve with Aurelian, Celestial does almost a better job. So, Celestial, let's have a look at the skills. I'm just going to say, first off, this is doing double damage and taking double damage. That's why I'm clearing out these enemies, because I don't want it to die while I'm talking. But yeah, it doesn't really do any damage. Both the skills don't do any damage, so it's literally just the basic attacks. This is pathetic for dealing damage. So, taking a look at the skills. The first skill is a 12-second cooldown, and it places a shield on every party member for 10 seconds worth 30% of your total health. So it's a 30% health shield, and also it heals you by 30% as a heal over time of 10 seconds. Now, I'm invincible right now, so you can't see how this is really benefiting me or anything, but that's the effect there. Puts the shield on you. It's very visible. You can see the skill getting used. You can see the shield in yourself. And if I was hurt, you'd see my health jump up. Sorry, not jump up. It would slowly be regaining over time. And you can see it's very frequent because this is a 12-second cooldown, and it puts the shield on you for 10 seconds. Now, the shield won't really survive that long, because it's only a 30% health shield. However, both the heal and the shield, and it happens really regularly, doesn't matter where you are on the map, you don't need to be near Celestia or anything, and it does it to your whole party. This is seriously good support for keeping people alive. I love that, and I think it does it better than Aurelian does, because even though Aurelian's heal over time is like 150% of your health, it does a heal every second for 15 seconds. There's a period of time where it doesn't do that, like a 10-second gap where it doesn't do anything. Celestial does more regular healing, and it's kind of more impactful when it happens, rather than like a slow kind of regain of health. So I really like that skill. I think it works better than what Aurelian does. Now, Aurelian also has a damage skill, which this doesn't have at all. So Aurelian is going to be doing, far more damage. It does area effect damage too. Celestial here doesn't get the benefit of the heal or the shield, so it doesn't help itself at all, whereas Aurelian heals itself. It even gives the damage reduction buff to itself as well. So anyway, Aurelian definitely survives better and it deals more damage, but Celestial's skill, I like the way it works. The second skill has a 10-second cooldown. Now this does a large area effect aura, which is what you can see, and it's practically constant because it lasts 10 seconds and it will reapply it after the 10 seconds. It's pretty good at reapplying it. And this aura, what it does is it gives you a party damage buff and defense, that's damage reduction buff, of 25%. This is really, really good. Aurelian's damage buff, I'm just going to have to scroll up on my thing here because I can't remember honestly what it is. It's a damage reduction buff of 20%, and it's a damage buff of 30%. But it's not active all the time. It's 15 seconds with a 25-second cooldown. Celestial, it's 5% less damage buff. It's 25%, but it's constant. So overall, Celestial helps your damage more. I'm just going to show you the damage buff here. So I'm at 1.5 million. I'm just going to have to try and get away from Celestial, and you'll see it goes down to 1.27. You'll see it's actually slightly bigger than this circle, is where it gives the damage buff and the damage reduction as well. But anyway, that's how that works. So it's a very consistent damage buff that it gives you, and also the damage reduction of 25%. So together, these two skills work really, really well. And that's why I'm going on about this for a while, because I think Celestial is a really underappreciated dragon, mainly because of its rarity. So few people have it, but I think it's a better Aurelian for party support, because it gives you constant damage buff, gives you constant damage reduction, and it very regularly heals you and puts a shield on you. I love what this does. I love how it supports the whole party really effectively. And what's really nice is when it gets hit, it has a chance of getting teleported to your location, which means that because it doesn't really protect itself, there's a chance that, if it gets caught somewhere, or if it's just getting attacked and you're busy doing something or whatever, it will teleport next to you and then teleport away from those enemies it's fighting. Now, it may teleport it into danger, but the point is it's always teleporting itself away from danger, so it is a benefit, in some way. So I really like this. I hope you do too, and I hope you, if you're able to pick up Celestial, you love it and use it just like Aurelian. Lastly, we have the final dragon we're going to look at. This was literally the last dragon ever released. Saying that if you're looking at this a time in the future, there may be more dragons, I don't know. But this dragon was released a few years ago and they haven't made any since. Firescale, unfortunately, it is a flop. When it comes to support dragons, like I said, they're hit and miss. Firescale is a bit of a miss. It isn't actually designed particularly well. So, and the skill descriptions as well, a little bit obscure. So the first skill, 5-second cooldown, it does a very large area effect around the dragon, dealing 1x basic attack damage and knockback. This is pretty easy to see, it happens quite regularly, and it's a lovely big area. It's very nice. The knockback is handy. I think generally as a support dragon, what it's meant to do is both keep itself alive, and also it's like if it's next to you when you're attacking, it's going to regularly keep any enemies away from you that are going to be like coming close, that are a danger. So if you're an archer and you're attacking from range, then any enemies that are coming in, you want to keep them at bay, away from you, and every 5 seconds knocking them back. That's going to be good. So I get the design there, but it's just the damage is pathetic. And weirdly, with training, this actually gets multiplied by 4. Most skills get multiplied by 2, which might be why there's a bit of an oddity there on the skill description. But anyway, that's how it is. So the second skill is a 15-second cooldown, and it instantly heals all nearby allies by 50% and gives them 50% damage reduction for 5 seconds. This doesn't affect Firescale, but it obviously does affect you. That was the effect that it just used there, and it does like a little circle type thing on the ground around Firescale, which doesn't show the full area. It's a little bit further than that, but it's not like a massive area. You have to be pretty close to Firescale for it to work. So yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell. Now I'm down on this dragon. I'm saying it's a miss. The dragon which I like to compare it to is Ice Song, which is ironically the first support dragon. And basically this is a worse Ice Song. Ice Song has a sort of damage and it's like a slow attack rate of the enemies or something from range, which is nice. And the knockback here is just not as good, I don't think. It's fine, I get the design, but it's nothing that special. And the annoying thing about the damage reduction and healing which it does is it lasts 5 seconds with a 15-second cooldown, whereas Ice Song lasts 10 seconds with a 15-second cooldown. So it's only for half the time, and yeah, sure, it does a heal as well as the damage reduction, but it doesn't do it for the dragon, which Ice Song does do it for the dragon. So you can see probably why I'm down on this. It's just, it doesn't come across as a better Ice Song. However, that said, it is better than some other support dragons. Like, this is doing proper support, and it's a fine dragon. It's just nothing that special. So that's it for this video. As you can see, I've kind of stood in the way of this dragon because it doesn't heal itself, and it doesn't really do any damage, as you can see. It just kind of chips away at things. But yeah, that's it for this video. That's it for the series. I've now reviewed all the dragons. If you haven't seen any of the other videos, do check them out. I've got links everywhere. You can see the playlists, all that kind of stuff. Something which you wouldn't know is I've actually recorded all of these in one go. I've been here recording for 5.5 hours, and if you heard my voice over the course of the videos, which you probably didn't watch them in a row, so you probably wouldn't know that my voice has slowly got more and more hoarse over the course of them as I've been struggling. But I've rushed this all because over the last few days I've spent quite a few hours testing all the dragons to see how they all work exactly, trying to get some good numbers for you to make these videos, and then make these videos before King's Road stops on PC, because I will lose access to this test account that I'm using. So managed to get them all together and make the videos. I hope you enjoyed them and learned a lot about the dragons, seen some of the ones that you've probably never seen before, and found out some interesting parts of the skills that aren't in the descriptions. So thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed the series, and I'll see you in another video soon.